Hey y'all, today we're going to talk a little bit about body image and disgust. One of the things that my clients tell me and people on the internet tell me and people at cocktail parties tell me is I feel gross. It's one of the biggest complaints, the biggest themes of body criticisms that I hear is feelings of disgust about their own body. So gross is one of those words that comes up a lot. Disgusting is one of those words that comes up a lot. Sometimes I'll have people say things like, I looked in the mirror and my skin crawled, that kind of like creepy, yucky, gross feeling that people will describe in relationship to their body. So disgust is a huge player when it comes to body image issues, and it's got a lot of stuff going on, so we're going to unpack some of it today. It's absolutely one of those things where if you feel disgust when it comes to your body, you are not alone. If disgust is a player when it comes to your body image, you are not alone. We're going to talk today about what's going on with that and what you can do about it. All right, so let's unpack a little bit about what disgust is. So disgust is an emotion. We feel it in our bodies, and it is an emotion. So it's a biological signal with a beginning and end. It has a message for us, as all emotions do. The message of disgust is that something is toxic. Something is bad for us. Something is poisonous. The message is get away from that thing because it's bad for you. So it kind of makes sense that disgust would be wrapped up with our bodies because there's a lot about the body that is sort of disgusting if you think about it, right? Like think about how the genitals are so close to the excretory organs. There's a lot there that you don't want crossing over. There's a lot about the body that can be considered disgusting if you think about it from that perspective. But what happens, and this is really important to understand, is that arousal, sexual arousal, and disgust are mutually exclusive. You can only be feeling one at a time. One inhibits the other. So this makes perfect sense because when you are, turned on and attracted to someone and wanting to have sex with them, you have to have a mechanism that makes you say, hey, yeah, all of your stuff down there is really close to your excretory organs, but that sounds hot to me. I'm into this. This is good. So sexual arousal and disgust cancel each other out. And this is one of the roots of where it ties into body image. And if you think about how often body image issues come down to wanting to look attractive, wanting to be attractive, or wanting people to desire us, wanting people to, not so explicitly as to say wanting people to sleep with us, but wanting people to want us, wanting people to be desirous of us, it makes perfect sense, right? So this connection to the way that arousal and disgust are mutually exclusive is at the heart of a lot of the disgusty feelings we feel about our bodies. So think about how often your body image issues come down to the binary sense that you have two choices in this world, that you are either attractive and will arouse people, turn them on and make them want you, or you are disgusting. And part of the reason for that binary setup that we start to think about ourselves in terms of it's pass-fail, it's one or the other. You can only be super, super sexy or absolutely disgusting is the fact that arousal and disgust are mutually exclusive. That said, if we take it back to middle school, we can also think about how the, young adolescent boys make these comments. It's one of the things that we see constantly in every generation is the comments that somebody is disgusting. They're both obsessed with disgusting things and obsessed with sex. So this is that binary being really reinforced during formative years that, a boy might have said to you like, ew, you have hair down there? That's disgusting. At the same time that he was desperately, making jokes about or trying to get in girls' pants, right? So we have this binary set up for us really early that a person's body can either be gross and make people disgusted, which of course makes them want to get away from us, or sexy and attractive and make people want to come closer to us and, love us, want us, give us value, give us attention. So, with all of this in mind, and it should be noted that this binary with boys in their adolescent years is often the result of them being uncomfortable because they are taught through, patriarchy to never let anybody see how tender they are, never let anybody see how confused or uncomfortable they are. They are sort of forced into a position of reinforcing this binary for the girls that age by needing to not say, oh, you have hair down there? I didn't know that. That makes me feel like uncomfortable. Instead, they say, ew, gross, right? Like there is this big reaction that comes up that a lot of times it was just a way of them masking their vulnerability or their lack of knowledge, and it gives them a place to go that feels safe, but it makes the girls that age often feel totally unsafe. So this is just something to kind of keep in mind. If that binary was set up for you, you are not alone. And also, that binary is not totally real. You can see where it's based in some truth that the human body can experience arousal or disgust, and that you can't experience both at the same time. But it totally erases all of the gray area in between, where people are just people who are worthy of respect, who are worthy of attention, who are amazing people. And it just reduces people down in this super objectifying way to being, you are either pass fail of hotness, right? You are either disgusting to me or you are attractive to me. And that's super problematic, but it's at the heart of a lot of people's body image issues. So this binary is set up for us, and we are taught, as you know, a lot of girls and women are taught that our value comes from whether or not men want to sleep with us. So of course that's super problematic, but we are definitely given the message that men have power and they get to decide who they want to sleep with, is who has high status, who has high value, who is worthy of respect, who is worthy of attention, and also who is worthy of getting their needs met for connection and intimacy and closeness. Now I hope that at this point in your life you have been introduced to the fact that gender is more than this binary, that sexuality is a lot more complex and interesting than this heteronormative story. But most of us grew up in a culture where that was the background. That was what we learned. So a lot of women of any sexuality, and actually I should say a lot of people of every type of gender, experience a feeling, based on what they were conditioned with, that their worth and value in the world is based on how attractive they are, based on how desirable they are, based on who wants to sleep with them. And this whole idea is set up and reinforced by systems of oppression and capitalism and beauty culture and diet culture. But the way people move through the world a lot of times is a feeling of, if I am desirable and other people want me, then I'm good, I'm safe. I deserve to be confident, I'm worthy of attention, I'll get my needs met emotionally, it will be good, I will be okay. But if I am not attractive and desirable to other people, then I am at risk of being kicked out of my community. I will not be able to get my needs for connection and belonging met. I will not be accepted. I will not be respected. I will not be able to find a loving, amazing partner. So there is a very dangerous, sad, scary feeling around not being desirable, because we've been taught that our worth in the world and our ability to be safe and belong and be respected comes down to whether or not we're desirable to people, whether or not they essentially want to sleep with us. So you can see how this thing about being disgusting, this antithesis in some ways of being desirable, is the big threat. The scariest, worst thing we can be is the thing that makes people not want to sleep with us, which is disgust, to give them a disgust reaction. So, for a lot of people who are experiencing this feeling of disgust when it comes to their own body, they're actually thinking to themselves, or the belief that sort of sparks this feeling, is, I'm not attracted to myself, or I'm not aroused by myself, therefore nobody else will be attracted to me or aroused by me, therefore I'm disgusting, therefore I'm totally not safe, and I won't be able to get my needs for connection, intimacy, sex, vulnerability, respect, connection, belonging. I won't get those needs met. It's impossible to get them met if I'm disgusting. Which, as you can see, is not totally true, but that is the belief that a lot of people are carrying in their unconscious as they move through the world and look in the mirror. So you look in the mirror, you think, oh my God, I look gross. You're not just saying I look gross, you're saying, oh my God, I am not going to be able to get my needs for connection, belonging, respect, and intimacy met. And that is terrifying. That is the worst possible feeling. It is a very dangerous feeling. So, for some people, when we talk about feeling disgust, it's actually about wanting sex and connection and intimacy and love. And for some people, it's just that general feeling of my worth to the world is whether or not I'm desirable is based on whether I'm going to get respect and belonging and acceptance. So for some people, it's just about I am wanting to get my needs for acceptance and belonging and respect met. So you'll have to explore this for yourself. Which one is it? Because sometimes I'll go in with a client and we'll be like, okay, this is about sex. Like, what you crave most in the world is intimacy and a partner who loves you and is super open with you, and the sex is amazing, and you're just in this space where, they want you and you're connected, and like that is a legitimate craving. That is a legitimate need in some ways. It's an emotional need that is going unmet for a lot of people. And then what they do is they turn that around on themselves and they say, oh, then I must be disgusting. If I can't get that met, if I haven't met the right person, I'm disgusting. So then it comes out and it's getting projected on themselves and their body image. Likewise, if you feel like, oh, I'm not connecting with people in general, I feel like people don't like me, I struggle to make friends, I don't feel like I belong anywhere, I'm so anxious around people that it's really hard to connect with them. Any of those kinds of things can also get projected as disgust back onto your body, because you've been taught that the way that you'll get acceptance and belonging and respect is to be attractive enough that your worth in the world is higher because people desire you. Try this if you have body image issues that center around the feeling of disgust or grossness. Sit down and do some journaling or meditating on what emotional needs are going unmet for you. So what are you really craving? What are you really desiring? What are you most needing that you're not getting right now? And if that is in the realm of sex and intimacy and love and partnership, that's the thing you want to be go forth and get that thing directly. Put yourself out there, start dating, find people to have sex with who are on the same page as you and want the same things as you. Go forward and find ways to get those needs met directly, because the truth is, how you look has nothing to do with this. Disgust and arousal may be mutually exclusive, but that does not mean that only people who are conventionally attractive or look a certain way get to have sex. Not at all. Arousal is so much more complex and interesting than what we've been taught, that it's all about conventional beauty. It's not. Arousal is really multi-leveled. There will be people who will be aroused by you, by who you are, by you in this body, by you in this weight. So go get those needs met. Go get that intimacy. Go get that sex. Because that is going to be one of the key pieces of no longer projecting disgust on your own body when you look at it. Likewise, on the other side, if what you discover is that what you really crave, really need, really, really want right now is connection to a community, friendships, that you want that feeling of belonging, if that's what you need, and you've been approaching this from the perspective of, if I look desirable enough, I'll get those things, respect and belonging, etc., then you need to go get those things directly. And that's a little bit trickier, because how do you get respect? It's not exactly as linear as going and finding, partnership or sex, right? Going and finding respect is more about finding ways, learning the skill of being authentic in spaces that really accept you for who you are, and then pouring your attention into those places, those communities, those friendships, and having boundaries so that anybody who doesn't treat you that way is no longer taking up time and space in your life. So, with this way, sit down and figure out what emotional needs are going unmet for you that are leading to you projecting disgust onto your own body, and then tackle them directly and go get those needs met. Next up, in this process, I want to validate the fact that there is poison here. So your feelings of disgust, when you look in the mirror, look at a photo, or look at your body, they are valid. The issue is that you have rightfully picked up on the fact that there is something toxic at play, that there is something that is bad for you happening, and that there is something that you should get away from because it is poisoning you, right? That is the purpose of disgust as an emotion, and it is accurate. You are accurately picking up on the fact that there is toxic shit happening. What you are not being accurate about is the fact that the toxic thing is your body. So when you look in the mirror and you feel disgust, it's aimed at your body as if your body is the toxin, as if your body is the poison, the thing that's bad for you. That's false. So I encourage my clients to always notice that this is a valid feeling, but it's aimed in the wrong direction. It's aimed inward at themselves, when what it really needs to be is aimed outwards at the actual shit that is toxic for us. The poison is diet culture. The poison is beauty culture. The poison is sexism and patriarchy. The poison is white supremacy and racism. The poison is ableism. These are poisonous. These are toxic. These are the things that you are rightfully having a disgust reaction to. But what happens is, instead of looking in the mirror and going, ugh, I hate diet culture, it's disgusting, you look in the mirror and go, ugh, I hate my thighs, they're disgusting. So, notice that this is a valid feeling, and give yourself some compassion and grace for the fact that you're feeling it, and then aim it where it belongs, which is outward, at the toxic things that this disgust is signaling to you are bad for you. Think about the formative moments where your body image is sort of like entrenched. Those first moments where somebody made fun of your body for being too big or too small or too tall or too thin or too whatever, and those moments where they're like, ew, your nose is so big, or gross, your thighs are so fat, or someone food shamed you for having such a big appetite, those usually happened when you were younger, typically. And those were really, really painful formative moments when it comes to your body image. For a lot of people, when they think about where their body image issues came from, they can go back and have a moment they trace it to when they first became aware that other people were looking at their bodies and judging their bodies, and that their bodies were coming up short. So if you go back and revisit these formative moments, think about what happened. Somebody said something rude and inappropriate to you. Somebody said something they shouldn't have said because it's not an appropriate or acceptable thing to say to another person. That is the toxin. That is the poison. But what happens, especially when we're younger, is we hear that and we go, oh, I must be the toxin or the poison. So disgust is the natural, normal response to a moment like that, or to a lot of moments like that. And if you think about people in larger bodies getting fat shamed and, shamed for their eating habits, shamed for their exercise habits, you can imagine how they might feel a ton of disgust over the years, sort of compounding inside them, aimed at themselves and their bodies. When actually, what would be more appropriate and accurate is a feeling of disgust at the fact that they live in a system and a society where so much inappropriate, rude, unacceptable things are being said to them on a regular basis. That's the poison, that's the toxin. So if you grew up in a fat-shaming household, if you grew up in a household where people objectified you or, criticized or abused you or talked about your body in a way that was super shamey, that's the poison. And that's what your disgust is here to tell you. Something here is gross, but it's not you. Something here is disgusting, but it's not you. So this disgust feeling is appropriate. Just make sure that it is not aimed at yourself. It is not aimed at your body. Aim it where it belongs. At a fat-shaming culture, at a culture of sexism and objectification, at a culture of beauty standards that are completely impossible, at a culture of people talking to other people about their bodies for no damn reason and is totally inappropriate. That's the thing that's bad for you. So let it be valid, give yourself permission to feel it, but be highly skeptical when it's aimed at yourself. Think about who that's protecting. It's usually protecting the people who said the formative thing, protecting the culture, protecting everybody but you. And you deserve to be protected, so let this be valid, but really aim that disgust, that gross feeling that you have when you look at your body, outward where it belongs. And that will begin the reframing process required for you to move back into neutrality when it comes to your body. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this Transparent Tuesday video. If you have questions or comments, of course, leave them below. I'm always happy to chat about this stuff, and see you next time.